This will be the video notes for 7-3 for 7th grade when we're doing area of composite figures. Whenever we do area of composite figures, taking a look at the example that they have here for us up at the top, they give us a couple of different shapes that we can work with. This very top part is going to be half of a circle. This very bottom part looks like it's going to be a trapezoid for us. We need both formulas in order to be able to work this part out. So whenever I'm talking about a semicircle, I'm going to use the formula pi r squared, and I'm going to take half of that because it's half of a circle. When we're talking about the trapezoid, the formula I recommend you guys use is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, and we're going to multiply that times the height. From here, I can begin plugging in numbers. So for the semicircle, I'm going to be doing 3.14 for pi. I'm going to do that times the radius. Now, right here, it would be a whole circle, and halfway across would be our radius. So if our diameter is 14, our radius will be 7, and we have to square that. And we'll divide that by 2. Continuing on with this, I'm going to keep breaking it down to the little pieces. So we have 3.14, our value of pi. That's times 7 squared. 7 squared is 7 times 7, and that is 49. Again, we have to divide our final answer by 2. 3.14 times 49 is 153.86. Again, we still have to divide on that. Final part is to take the 153.86 and we divide that by 2. So our area of the semicircle is going to be 76.93. So now we have found this entire area right here. We have to go through and find the area of the trapezoid. Looking at the figure that we have here, base 1 is this length right here. So our base 1 is 14. We have to add that to base 2. Base 2 is right here. So we have 18 for our base 2. We'll divide our answer by 2, and then we're going to multiply by the height of the trapezoid, which is 10. That number right there. So now I'm going to keep breaking it into little pieces. I'm going to do the 14 plus the 18, and I have 32 divided by 2 times 10. 32 divided by 2, it's going to give us 16. We still have our times 10. And then we're going to do 16 times 10, and we have 160. So again, what we've just found is we found the area of the trapezoid. In order to have the area of the entire figure, we have to take the area of the semicircle and the area of the trapezoid, and we're going to add these two together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 160, and I'm going to add it to 76.93, and I get a total of 236.93. And we're dealing with inches, so that is going to be inches squared. So that's our full area for that figure right there. And over here, you can kind of see that they're broken up into two different shapes for us, which is kind of what we did, but I prefer this method right here. It kind of keeps everything nice and straight for us and keeps all of our work shown. So what we've done in class is we've gone over several of these examples. There's one in particular that I do want to talk about, number 5, because this frequently shows up on STAR tests. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of the different parts. We're going to work with the square first, because it's an 8 by 8 square. And then we're going to work with the semicircle. Formula for area of a square is going to be area equals base times height. And here we have our base is this 8 right here times our height of 8 right there. So the area is going to be 64. Now I've got to do the semicircle. Area for a semicircle is pi r squared divided by 2, because we are dealing with half of a circle. Our radius on this is going to be 8. So from here, I'm going to kind of work my way down now. I'm going to go ahead and swap out pi for 3.14, and and we're going to do that times the radius of 4, because it's half of that 8, or half of the diameter. 4 squared, and we still have to divide that by 2. We keep working in this direction. So now I've got 3.14 times 4 squared is the same thing as 4 times 4. That is 16. Again, we have to divide our final answer by 2. From here, I'm going to do 3.14 times the 16, and I have 50.24. We still have to divide by 2 when we're finished. We're going to divide that by 2. I get an area, we'll go this way right now, of 25.12. So our area here is 25.12. Again, to find the total area of the entire figure, I have to add my two areas together. So when I add these together, I'm going to take 25.12, I'm going to add it to 64, and I get an area of 89.12 yards squared. If you have any questions, please make sure that you're coming into tutorials and asking for help. I am going to go through part of the homework on this. The homework section is pretty scary looking. In class, we decided to drop number 6 and number 7, and we made 8 and 9 bonus opportunities. You could get a total of plus 10 for doing one or the other, if you want to try those. 1 through 5 were the actual homework. We're going to go through and take a look at these. We're going to figure out what our formulas are first. So the area of that rectangle is going to be area equals base times height. This triangle, the formula for a triangle is area equals base times height divided by 2. Now I'm going to go and start working through some of these. On the rectangle, we have base of 10 and our height of 6. And when we multiply those, we have an area of 60. For the triangle, our area, the base of our triangle is this part right here, which is the same as this length right here. So our base is going to be 6. We're going to multiply that by our height of 7, and then take half. 7 times 6 is 42. Divide that by 2, and our area is going to be 21. Again, our total area for both of these, we're going to combine these, and we're going to add 60 and 21, and we have 81 meters squared. On number 2, so on this one, we got to find the area of each shape first. So we are going to deal with the square first. So the area formula for a square is BH, or area base times height. And here we are going to do 12 times 12. So our area on the square is 144. So now we have to deal with the semicircle. The formula for a semicircle is area equals pi r squared. Now our radius is only from here to here, which matches what we have down here almost. So instead of a diameter of 12, we're going to have a radius of 6. And actually, I kind of left off part of our formula because it's a semicircle. We are going to have to divide this by 2. So now I'm going to start filling in parts of the formula. Pi is 3.14. Our radius is going to be 6. Again, we have to divide by 2 because it's a semicircle. So again, I'm going to leave the 3.14 alone for now. But 6 squared is 6 times 6, so it is 36. Divide by 2. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start taking the 3.14, and I'm going to multiply it by 36, and I get 113.04. Again, we still have to divide by 2, and once we divide that by 2, we get 56.52. So now at this point, we've got our area of the circle, and we've got our area of the square. So there's our semicircle, there's our square, and we have to put those two numbers together. So I'm going to add that to 144. When I add those two, I get 200.52 yards squared for that entire figure. Again, the shapes that we have here, we have a parallelogram right here, and we have our trapezoid right here. For the parallelogram, we're going to use area equals base times height. And for the trapezoid, we are going to use area equals base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. Area of the parallelogram is simple enough. Look for your 90-degree angle to know where your base and your height are. So we are going to do area equals base times height. So our area is going to be a total of 50. For the trapezoid, our first height is right here, our first base is right there, so our base 1 is 7, plus our base 2 of 14. Again, we divide that by 2, and when we are finished, we multiply that by our height of 6. 7 plus 14 gives us 21 over 2, and we still have to do that times 6. Again, 21 divided by 2 gives us 10.5. And we still multiply by 6. And finally, 10.5 times 6 gives us 63. So we have our two areas now. So we're going to combine that area and that area. When I do 50 plus 63, I get 113 centimeters squared. Over to number 4. So again, here we have two of the same shape, but we're still going to treat them as two different shapes. We have a triangle here, so our area will be base times height divided by 2. And here we have another triangle. So again, our formula will be area equals base times height divided by 2. Deal with the top triangle first. So on this one, we're looking at a 90-degree angle. So we only have area equals base times height divided by 2. So I have area equals 5 times 6, so that is 30 divided by 2. And 30 divided by 2 is 15. On the other triangle, our base is going to be 4, because again, I'm looking at the right angle right there. So I'm going to do 4 for our base times our height divided by 2. When I do 4 times 3, we get 12. And then 12 divided by 2 is going to be 6. Again, I'm going to combine my two areas. So when I do 15 plus 6, I get a total of 21 feet squared. Final one, number 5. So again, we have we have two of the same shape, but we have to do them both separately. So I've got my two semicircles. Red semicircle, I'm going to do A equals pi r squared divided by 2. For the blue one, I'm also going to do pi r squared divided by 2. And now I can start plugging in numbers. For the red one, right here is our radius. So we're going to do 3.14 times our radius of 3 squared and divide that by 2. 3 squared, or I'm going to do 3.14 times 3 squared, which is 9, divided by 2. 3.14 times 9 comes out to 28.26. We still have to divide that by 2. And when I do 28.26 divided by 2, I get 114.13. Now, for the blue semicircle, area is going to be 3.14 times our radius. And again, our radius is only halfway across, so half of 5 is 2.5. We still have to square that. We still have to divide by 2. So we're going to do 3.14 times 2.5 times 2.5. It's going to be 6.25 over 2. And 3.14 times 6.25 is going to give us 19. I'm going to keep the full decimal for right now. And we still have to divide that by 2. Whenever we divide the 19.625 by 2, we get an area of 9.8. Actually, I'll go and write the whole thing. 8, 1, 2, 5. So we have our two areas. So we are going to combine this one. We're going to combine that one. So 14.13 plus our 9.8125. I'll write the answer up here. Combining those two, we have a total of 23. It's a long decimal number. 0.9425 centimeters squared. That's our final answer for number 5. Again, 6 and 7 were just optional. 6 and 7 were the ones that we weren't going to do. We'll take a look at those in class. And then 9 and 10 were your options, so you can get your 10 bonus points if you want to do that. Guys, if you are still struggling with this, please come into tutorials so I can help you out on it.